And we're live. Welcome to Demon. So, to a different foray now. Many thousands of years ago, there was a great citadel, Dudael, where the heart of the Legion sat and Lucifer's throne was. It was a court, a senate, and it itself was a battlefield with many different archdemons, archdukes, having their interpretation of the future of humanity and the war itself. Now, they would debate backward and forwards until the sun rose and set, until they come to a conclusion. And their policy was law amongst the houses of the fallen. But again, I am talking about the past. This is our future. 21st century New York City, another Senate, or building of power, of machinations of legal things go through, and the world changes slightly depending upon the decision of, well, district attorneys and the legal judicial system of the Americas. So here we are now, the Old Boys Club, an office where Morgan is working. Now, Morgan works with a close-knit staff of people that respond to his beck and call. And it's today's itinerary that 2 cases have come across into the ADA's department for investigation and implementation or changes to law on a local and then on a state-based level. The first is a legal request for the entrapment through or sustained police investigation of a psychologist that has basically been using his position of authority to seduce sleepy women with certain accusations of sexual assault through the use of hypnotism and other random things. And the police are wanting to try and find a way of staking him out by using female police officers to catch him in the act. The second one has a tinge of destiny to it. A new drug has found its way into the Bronx called Serenity. Now, it's been shipped in mass at the moment because there's no legal precedence against it. It's a legal high. And it's been sold as homeopathic remedies amongst a lot of the Chinese communities and in the Bronx specifically. There is no increased aggression from it so far. But the police or the narcotics division believe that it should be stopped. And this is where Morgan is given the file by Casey, a paralegal, to discuss and investigate why. So, Mr.
Dilla
Dryer, Casey still can't get your surname right first time. You still do often need to correct her. Fresh from college, this one, but bright as a button and just a bit perhaps ditzy. She holds a large file for you to sort of peruse, and it's essentially the case of New York State Police requesting criminalization or categorization of drug named Serenity. It's quite a large file full of what appears to be medical reports and testimonies from the police department and a proposal from them.
Morgan will open the file and begin to browse through its contents, looking at various citations. And Morgan will snap his fingers towards Casey
Yes, Mr. Deladra.
Get me Sally Linson down here, or on the phone, whichever you can manage.
Okay, yes, I will. Right. She fusses, and then she'll sort of scoot off to her desk, which is like halfway through typing up something on the computer. Will start busying herself with her notes that she's and post-its that she seems to be making. Even though she has computers and she has sort of like an iPad or something like that to try and keep her thoughts in order, it still seems like her desk is becoming a sort of a house to post-it notes with half scribbled things on them as well. She starts finding through something. She'll make a quick phone call, and then she'll disappear out of the door to your office.
Morgan will pinch the bridge of his nose and sigh loudly. And to think I made a pact with that one. And the ADA will look over the various files and do a bit of investigation.
Yeah, give me a intelligence plus investigation.
Intelligence and investigation.
Yeah, it's a logical thing.
One, two, three successes.
Okay.
Assuming standard.
Yep, I'm happy with that. Okay, so the first things that you do, there's a lot of complex interactions on, as you would expect to see in the drugs. It has a clear impact. There's a lot of medical data here which you just can't get your head around, so that needs interpretation. And there's a lot of police reports. One thing you have noticed in the police reports is there seem to be two types of this drug going out right now. So the initial is a homeopathic remedy, which has a sort of a mild, sort of calming effect. It just seems to chill people out, and they seem to have a good time with it. It doesn't appear to have any side effects. There is a concern, though, that there is another type of this drug, a cut drug, which has been adopted by the criminal organizations at this point, which seems to enhance the potency of Serenity. They call it Tranquility. Now, Tranquility is basically has the same effect as chasing the dragon. It's like if you take it, you become incredibly calm, non-active, non-violent. You just seem to just chill out and let the day go by, and you're quite happy popping these pills for the rest of your days, not doing anything. It's not apathy, but it's just literally just non-action. Now that's the strongest reason why they want to categorize it, because they can't possibly have this. This has already seen evidence of it hitting some of the nightclubs in the surrounding areas of the Bronx, but there have been no fatalities as of yet.
Morgan will look into instances of any police reports on it just as of yet, sort of trying to see if there's any instances of this causing detriment, similar sort of along sort of the same lines as, say, Rohypnol, like a date rape drug, or if it has a highly addictive nature, at least as reported. And just the general consensus of why the local authority is trying to get this categorized as a narcotic.
Okay, so going through the police reports, the first thing that you pick up is a traffic police sort of file, and that was done by a Sergeant Cranston that was on the patrol at the time, where Cranston pulled over a motorist coming from a nightclub. suspecting them to have been sort of drinking alcohol, pulled them over. There was no aberration in how they were driving. The police officer walked up to the assailant, sort of a young male, so a black male, who was incredibly calm, incredibly focused, obeyed all speed limits and all the laws, and was quite astute with driving the car. In fact, it was actually a very, very the person was very cooperative, didn't panic and wasn't aggressive in any way, shape or form, and was quite passive and was quite capable of answering all questions posed by the police officer and sort of complying with all the requests. And it was they were let off for no charge, but in the back of the car, when they did a routine search for these bags of these pills, this new Tranquility, the dodgy variant of Serenity, and the person that they pulled over was happily admitted and was perfectly honest about he acquired them from someone in the club and he had tried a few, and they don't seem to have any kind of effect, any kind of negative side effect on them whatsoever, apart from the fact they taste so good.
Are there any sort of footnotes or any sort of affidavits as to why judges or anyone within the court system wants to see this substance banned?
Well, reading between the lines, it appears to be it's something that they want to stop because they don't want people getting high on drugs. It seems to be, from what you can read, there doesn't appear to be any standing point for it at all from a medical point of view, from what you can read so far. It's caused no problems from the police as of yet. It just seems to be something that they want to stop for some reason. Maybe it's a publicity thing, or you know how it is this time of year with the governor's office and wanting to secure terms, being tough on drugs, including legal highs, is definitely a soundbite for the local news show and the national news. So maybe it's not. Maybe it's politically motivated rather than has any founding in sort of medical data. And speaking of medical data, the door opens and a very severe-looking woman walks through, with a sort of ID sort of pass sort of dangling on the sort of a lanyard, and that's a doctor that you've called for, Dr. Linson, MD.
Morgan will stand and put on a professional smile and make his way over to the doctor, offering out a hand. Doctor.
Mr. Deladryer. She takes your hand, and she's got she's got a strong grip, and she takes up. She looks you square in the eye. It's a pleasure to meet you and work with you again.
As always. Coffee, tea, water.
Coffee, please. Can I take a seat? She'll gesture to the seat that you have opposite your desk.
And Morgan will simply place a hand on sort of the shoulder blade of the doctor and just guide her over. And then call for Casey. CC. Nickname.
She'll stand there looking at you, sort of pleased with herself that she's able to find and summon the doctor so quickly. She misses the first cue for to go make a drink.
CC. Coffee and bring a tray. Sugar, cream, the whole nine.
Yes, Mr. Deladryer. She shoots off. The doctor sits across from you, sort of with her suit and sort of a skirt, not revealing but professional. I say she's probably wearing slacks now. Yeah, she in comfortable shoes. She crosses her legs, sits back and watches Casey wander off. Looks back at you and gives you a wry smile. So the anecdote that all the lawyers surround themselves with the young airheads is definitely at work here too. I see.
Casey is something of a absent-minded genius, from what I can tell. While she may be disorganized, which is a bane of my existence, she has her merits, and when I need legal precedences, she somehow comes up winning every time. She's young. She'll get over her flaws, I'm sure.
Can't remember ever being that young.
And Morgan will put on a smile and go for a charisma and expression or empathy. Which one would you prefer?
What are you trying to do?
Charm her to a point, not necessarily in a sexual way, but more of a platonic sort of flattery.
Okay, so well, empathy would better read your emotional state and match it. So let's go with that.
So do you want me to do a perception empathy first?
Yes, please.
All right. This will be difficulty 5 for me. 5 successes.
Jesus, right, okay. Right. So Sally is ruthless. She's driven, and she's worked very hard to get to where she is. Just so that you know about her past. And even though she's offered you a cookie in terms of discussing your paralegal, she would always be businesslike. So it's very, very difficult to sort of connect with her, except with the exception of passion for work.
Morgan will choose his words carefully as he leans back and steeples his fingers in his chair as it makes that sound as the spring sort of stretches. I'm sure at one point you can empathize with somebody who starts from an uninitiated level and through hard work and perseverance can apply everything they learn while in the trade and become something more. And I can roll for you.
She blinks and looks at you. So you need my help with something, yeah?
And Morgan will simply smile. Straight to the point and always seeing through my charm. I'm afraid I can never best you, can I?
I didn't realize it was a competition that we were involved in.
Honestly, it really isn't. Have I ever come out on top of any of our social exchanges?
She shrugs. Not that I can remember.
Well, then it's not a competition.
Casey will come back shortly, and she'll bring what you asked for: tea, sugar, coffee, and she looks like she's managed to scrounge up some biscuits somewhere that she seems to have found. Places it on the table between the two of you, and she'll look at either of you and say, "Would you like me to pour a drink now, or?"
Morgan will simply nod in Casey's direction.
Casey will start pouring you a drink. And with your 5 successes and your perception plus empathy, you notice the cougar-like predatory look coming from Sally towards Casey.
Morgan is going to raise a brow at that and look. Well, no, I'm going to roll a manipulation subterfuge to not look surprised about that. Uh, do, 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 do.
Well, I think it's something that you don't need to do, mate. It's literally because she's not paying attention to you. She's sort of like going, haha, I can play with this one, because she's like, no, she's like a gazelle to my hyenas. that kind of
is
look.
this a sexual sort of thing, or like somebody who likes to abuse their power?
It's more of a dominance kind of thing, but dominance in that kind of respect could be anything, sexual or otherwise. Just somebody that likes power, somebody likes to enforce it, somebody likes to dominate because they get a sexual pleasure out of it. We don't know.
Interesting.
Definitely an interaction there. Seem to be cued into it now that you mentioned the fact that she's you've given her some information. Sally will take her coffee black and unsweetened. And she'll take it and she'll start literally sipping on it, even when it's scalding hot.
Morgan will consider his options and decides to keep Casey in the room. My dynamic with Casey, what do I know? What do I know of her to essentially sort of play up her weaknesses, but not to the point where she looks like a complete and total idiot? What could I have her doing? What sort of activity could I busy her with?
Filing is good. Organising her desk is good, because that's sort of in the other room but still visible to the both of you, sideways on. She could take notes. She's very, very good at shorthand.
Cece, I want you to bring a chair in here and jot down notes as we speak.
She'll nod. Yes, Mr. Deladry. She'll go and fetch a chair and wheel it in with what appears to be a notepad. She'll sit across onto Shepherd, where the drinks are. Take a seat, smooth her skirt down, and will sit sort of like sideways on, nearer to you, within eye shot of Sally, who flicks her gaze over to her as she sits. If you didn't know better, you would think that she'd know that was a good place to sit.
Morgan will simply straighten himself slightly and open up the case file and turn it around and then slide it towards the doctor.
She'll lean forward, scoop up the medical parts of the file, set that to business. Brilliant. She'll start scooping through the notes, occasionally flicking her eyes up at you, looking across then at your intern, or your paralegal, and she'll go back down again. She'll, after a few minutes of silence, flicking a paper, she'll look up and go, I see. So a medical consult on this one.
I only go to the best for these situations. I'm actually somewhat perplexed at the reports of this and the urgency which they seem to want to, which the court seems to wish to move this along. I'm perplexed. I'm not a medical professional, but there doesn't seem to be any detriment from all reports.
I think it's a concern and a fear of the unknown for this one. These scans don't make any sense. They've pulled people in and they've scanned them when on this drug, and it appears to increase activity. They've actually they've seen a marked increased activity in the brain, specifically in the cognitive and logical senses. There does appear to be there has to be, there must be an addictive effect here, and it looks like it goes into the bloodstream and stays in there for quite some time. Very long time, in fact, she says as you flick through the notes. So if you take this stuff, it's with you for a good part of the year, and I imagine it's going to be something that you need to, your body becomes accustomed to having. Even though actually there's no signs of chemical dependency on this one as well. It seems to be a clean drug that improves your cognitive abilities.
I'm not one to believe in miracle drugs without side effects. There has to be something to it. Something the other examiners missed?
Well, it seems to suppress testosterone levels and aggressive behavior. So I guess it makes you less of a primate and more of a sort of an intelligent, logical being, and that isn't relying on your base nature. So no man-childs running around beating their chests and trying to screw everything they find in nightclubs, maybe. But I don't see a market for this, apart from the fact it can get people hooked on it really quickly. And
why wouldn't you want to be better at every faculty you have?
I would say that this doesn't. Is this a drug on the street? Because this, the evidence you're giving me here doesn't look like it at all.
Luke? Sorry, my computer hiccuped there.
No worries. Okay. So so this is not some kind of bullshit medical trial that they're doing, is it? Or this can't be a street drug because.
Well, it's from everything that I can see, there's two versions of this out there. There's one that seems to be far less of a issue. It's sold as a homeopathic remedy called Serenity. The other component, which seems to be some kind of cut substance, more along the lines of a street drug, and it's being handed out at nightclubs and the like.
That's interesting. She looks at some paper, which is a print off the chemical composition of it. So there are trace elements in here which seem to be plant-based, but the majority of this is, and she'll run through a chemical compound, and she'll look up and. Do you have a science? Do you have intelligence? Do you have a science stat?
Probably not. Nope.
Okay. She'll take pleasure in the fact that you have a blank expression, but then Casey will go, "That's honey," and it steals Sally's thunder a bit. She looks over and sort of scowls a bit about Casey. But Casey looks at you and goes, "It's honey. It's made of honey and something else. It looks like plants, did you say?" And there's more grumbling from the doctor, and then she nods. "Yeah, naturally found plants."
So how do you take natural extracts and turn them into a street drug out of this nature?
I don't know. These are perhaps a certain combination of honey and these natural plants that create this effect. But I've never seen anything like this. This is pretty good stuff. I mean, there must be decades of research gone into this drug. That's allowed this to have these many effects on you in one go. They must have found a way of adding honey into these plants. I think the process might be sort of It might be the process itself that does it, or they might use a catalyst, which doesn't appear to have any traces in the initial chemical compound itself.
You'd think that if there was something like this out there on the market, that someone would be making a small fortune off of it on the professional market, charging people an exorbitant amount of money for it.
Yeah, something that gives you a calming atmosphere, buzz, improves your cognitive abilities, and its only downside is the fact that it's addictive. But I can't see apart from sort of trace enzymes in bloodstreams that its addiction. It doesn't seem to have enough build up in your body to cause a dependency. This is miraculous. This is like nectar of the gods.
Morgan will hide a smirk, almost angelic.
Well, it's certainly divine.
Would have been nice to have around when I was doing all-nighters for my bar exam. That's for sure.
Tell me about it. Put them through medical school with this. Oof. Just to kind of just looking at the sort of the raw chemistry of it, and see it having a huge amount of positive effect on the way you think about things. It's literally like ambrosia.
Morgan will look over to Cece, and I can't remember, but when you have a pact with somebody, a thrall relationship, you can mind speak with them, right?
No.
Yeah.
There's powers that allow you to do that. No, you can't. There's no telepathy with them. However, you do have the demon net, which is basically if they say your name, your celestial name, you can hear them.
Yeah.
And then, yeah,
it's not a two-way street. Morgan will simply turn to Cece and make it. I can roll if you want to try and make it only apparent to her.
What are you trying to imply? Or
the moment that the doctor says ambrosia, Morgan wants that written down.
She's scribbling down everything. She's documented from what you can see. She's covered a couple of pages already. She's literally just she's literally just like
a little stenographer.
Every interaction you've had so far.
Then perhaps some kind of sign to indicate that Morgan assumes that this might be of a demonic nature.
She'll nod and star particular parts of the sentence.
Doctor, granted that these tests have only been done by the city, do you think that if we got a court order to have these tested at a more substantial lab, we could find something more with this?
Well, a control group would be good. It'd be interesting to get my hand on some to see what it actually does. And if I can replicate these figures, yeah.
So individuals that are currently on the high with this.
Yeah, and of baseline individuals that haven't taken it, so we can compare the two. But yeah, I'm interested in conducting some tests on this one. And if you get me the materials, I'll certainly find some. She yawns. I'll certainly go and find some people around here that could use with having their cognitive abilities enhanced.
Can't we all? The only issue is I can't bring somebody in if they're not doing something illegal. And that's when Morgan sits up and leans across the desk slightly. I need a affidavit from a respected member of the court in a medical field that I could get an injunction filed with a judge to get some kind of ordinance on the books.
Okay. She looks at you, narrows her eyes. All right. If I get sole credit for the medical work I do with this wonder drug,
I'll see that you get all of the credit.
she sits back in the seat, steeples her fingers. I think we can work together on this one.
And Morgan will look over to Cece. Can you get me an affidavit form, please?
She nods, but she gets up, and you get that. Since you've sort of built the thrallship with her, you get to read some of her subtle things. It looks like she's got something to say, but it's quite just going to get up and go and get the affidavit.
Morgan will stand up for just a moment. Hold on over here just a second. I want to see if I have any other forms that I might be able to use to speed this along. Some sort of, and Morgan will think, perhaps an order or a writ of urgency.
So, CC will sort of sidle up with the affidavit, the information, and she looks over and she goes, "If it's a drug, then it has to be stored properly." She sort of bounces up and down on the balls of her shoes. You could get a health and safety investigation. Listening to.
He'll look at Cece with a nod and just simply whisper to her, "See me after she leaves."
She nods. Passes the forms in question, and she'll sort of make her excuses, and she'll go back to her desk.
And Morgan will sit down and take the form and place it on top of a sort of a leather pad and clip it into place and hand it over to the doctor.
She'll pick it up. She'll read through it. She'll pull out a very, very expensive-looking pen, which she seems to be carrying around with her. She'll scribble some notes down, which look terrible and can't read out because it's doctor's writing. And then she'll sign it extravagantly, push it back across the table towards you.
And Morgan will sign his name on this. Cece, take this to the notary and have it stamped for today.
Yes, sir. She does a fake salute, picks up the work, and then walks off. Did you waddle her hips just then? Did the neck of Sally Linson crane over as she walked past?
You can roll for it if you want me to.
No. With your 5 successes, you've got this for the scene.
Nice. Morgan will sit back and pull out a small hip flask and take the top off of it. I hate Tuesdays, more so than Mondays.
The doctor will down her cup of coffee, place it on the desk.
Morgan will offer up the flask if she's so inclined.
She'll raise her hands to them. What she will do is she will go and reach over into the tray, pick up a sugar cube and pop it straight into her mouth. Crunch it. Now, pleasure doing business with you.
Doctor, if I might just have one last inquiry. The reports say that there's no withdrawal.
Well, these reports are not, or the medical information doesn't seem to have any of that data. So nobody's gone cold turkey who has been on this yet, or at least the data you have here doesn't seem to show any kind of impact of that. But looking at the numbers of blood chemistry, it looks like it's very difficult to get out of the system.
Morgan looks contemplative. You know, if you find out that there is a sinister element to this, it seems that you'll be the first one to figure this out. The savior of the city. A very, very prosperous sort of title to have, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. Maybe a couple of K more on the pay. Who knows? I don't care. Just want that if I get it, but I'll certainly find it. Ooh, the confidence in this one. You feel to yourself.
Well then, Doctor, I bid you adieu.
She stands. She offers her hand again.
Morgan will stand and shake the hand and place another hand on top of it. Hopefully we'll both have a great deal of work ahead of us.
She squeezes your hand strongly. Never thought that we'd have such an excellent business opportunity, business relationship together.
Well, seems that surprises are abounding today, aren't they?
Indeed. She'll step out with a handshake. I said, I want to kind of copy that signed form as well, please, when you do.
I'll make sure it's forwarded to you. I don't think that postal will suffice on this one, so I'll have Casey deliver it personally.
She nods. Okay. And then she'll start to walk towards the sort of main entrance. She'll eye Casey, the curt nod. She walks past her. Casey will sort of scramble up, remembering her place, and go over and open the door for her to leave. And she does so.
Morgan lets out, after the door closes, lets out just a long-winded sigh.
Casey wanders in with the pad, sort of clutched to her chest.
So you have something on your mind. Speak it.
Well, it's a drug, right? It's a medicine. I'm sorry, Mr. Durdra. I mean, I did look at the form as well. I know, but I shouldn't. It's not my place to. But they noticed that all the drugs they found were in plastic bags. That doesn't sound very hygienic or health and safety conscious. Now, if that's perhaps if they can find the storage locations or the distribution points for the drug, maybe that they're not, stored properly, and wouldn't that consist of health and safety violation of medical statutes? You could technically seize the project for destruction if it's been tampered with, or if it's considered sort of not fit for public consumption.
We might be able to get a writ just on that alone.
Yeah, and police would be able to help with that as well.
Can you get me, and Morgan kind of snaps fingers as he's trying to bring it into mind, what are the name of the two detectives that were on this?
She'll bounce up and down the balls of her feet again and read through her notes. Cranston was one of the arresting officers, and the narcotics division is Detective Lee.
Get them both on the phone and see if you can't have them come down here before lunch.
She'll nod. Wander over. Slightly lose her balance a bit. Recover gracefully, and we'll go to her phone at her desk. Make a few phone calls.
Morgan will sort of pinch his nose. I told you slipper-type shoes are so much better than your heels.
You did, Mr. Dry. I'm so sorry. I, 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 I was going to wear my pumps, but I forgot. Sorry.
Proceed. Try not to break your neck on the way out.
And with that, she'll depart. Make her phone calls. It's not too long before she comes back to you with an answer. It's like, the arresting officer, sorry, Cranston is on duty right now and will be for the next 8 hours. But Detective Lee is in the courtroom giving a testimonial, and I've asked for him to pop along if you want to see him today, sir.
I do. Morgan walks over to his desk and pulls out another affidavit form and begins to fill it out. And we'll use as much legal jargon as possible to work around a few technicalities. Take this to our offices that deal with the Product and Consumer Safety Board. See if you can't get a judge to issue a warrant on suspected Tranquility buyers and dealers for questioning. Not arrest, questioning, as it's worded very specifically in this affidavit.
Okay. And what grounds would that be? I'm sure the judge will ask.
Potential health risks with the current state of which this supplement is being distributed.
Gotcha. Health code violation. She scribbles that down, and then we'll make for the door. And then she'll realise that she's left somebody on the call, and she'll pick the phone up and then she'll apologise profusely, and then we'll state yes, you can come up as soon as you can. Place the phone on reception. I'll place the phone on the hook, and then she'll make to leave.
Cece, before you go,
She stops, wheels around.
take a copy of that affidavit. Make sure it's delivered to Dr. Linson. Don't turn your back on her.
She furrows her brow and it's like, okay.
She strikes me as a creeper.
She furrows her brow again, but goes, okay, Mr. Durdra. She'll take her affidavit and she'll leave.
Morgan will walk over to the window overlooking the front of the courthouse and simply begin to rub his temples as he waits for Detective Lee.
It's not too long before there's a knock at the door.
Come in.
Door opens. Detective Lee enters. Now it's a Lee, L-I, not L-E-E. The guy that you see there is sort of a plainclothes, sort of a shirt, sort of jacket, sort of one of those padded jackets, some sort of jeans, suitable. It's not particularly the most appropriate attire for giving evidence or giving a dissertation in the sort of judicial court system, but it's clearly something that's been done in his spare time rather than through any official capacity. So he's sort of Asian and Chinese descent, sort of closely cropped hair, almost balding. And he looks possibly mid-30s. He speaks in the perfectly fluent American accent. Sort of second-generation New Yorker. Hello, sir. You asked for me?
Yes, Detective. Nice to see you. You are the reporting officer, and Morgan will walk back over to his desk and look at the case file. On the Tranquility case, yes?
Yes, sir. I am.
Interesting. I know that you filled out the forms and the proper paperwork. Obviously, police jargon. I want to hear your words more and your opinion on this matter.
Give me a perception plus empathy, please.
Perception plus empathy. Difficulty 5. 2 successes.
There's wariness in his voice. He's slightly on guard, but he's tired. He goes. He comes over and
Oh, I'm
he goes.
sorry. 3 successes. Good judge of character.
Oh, okay. So he's wary at the moment because he doesn't like to. He doesn't like being here. He never enjoys this part of detective work. The reason why he's in plain clothes is because it looks like he has been operating in a plain clothes capacity for some time, and has been summoned here to give some sort of dissertation or write up, which he just sees to be admin, and he's really quite tired. But he's not overly hostile. He just doesn't seem to appreciate this part of the judicial system at all, including the people that work for it.
Morgan will take note of this. As Morgan goes to sit on the edge of his desk with a more of a casual sort of posture. Why don't you take a seat off? You look tired.
Yeah, okay. Don't worry if I do. He'll slink into the seat that the doctor was sitting. He pulled his jacket off. You can see the sort of the firearm holster, the pistol still concealed in it. It looks like he's forgotten to take the damn thing off.
Can I roll a perception and firearms?
That's standard issue. You won't need to. Standard issue police pistol.
Okay. Just that Morgan wants to sort of try and connect with this guy, the firearm.
It looks, from initial inspection, from just a quick eye over it looks used, and it looks well maintained.
Morgan will sort of just make that impressed expression, nodding his head slightly. See, you're a man that takes care of his tools, so to speak. And he'll gesture at the firearm.
He looks down and look up at you. Yeah. Tour in Afghanistan, we'll do that for you.
Oh. I suppose this is the part where I'm supposed to give you the obligatory thank you for your service, but I'm pretty sure you're probably getting tired of hearing that by now.
The way I see it, I'm still serving.
Aren't we all? But I can appreciate someone who takes care of their firearms. I don't get to go out to the range as much as I'd like to anymore.
He looks at you and is like, look at he's eyeing you up. It's like goes, and he goes, and that, you don't need a perception plus empathy roll. It's like, nah. didn't win any points then.
Very well. So, Detective, I'm looking at this and I'm racking my brain about all of this. Just after a doctor's report, after a doctor's counsel on this, I don't see this case sticking. It almost seems like a waste of your time and my time. It's time better spent. You could be out there actually doing something worthwhile, doing something that could help people.
Now that does score a few points. He looks at you and sort of gives you eyes you up again. Because yeah, yeah, that's what I think. This thing, whatever it is, doesn't harm people. It turns them on. It gets them high. It chills them out, and it makes them, I don't know, polite. And then for an American, for a New Yorker, that's amazing. And I don't know what happens if you how you get off this shit if you go cold turkey. And I don't know if any of the big bad guys out there have got hold of it yet and sending it to kids or whatever. But Serenity's a no go.
See, everything that I'm learning about this doesn't seem like. Call me cynical, but when I look at this, it just seems too good to be true. And while I definitely think that a lot of this dog and pony show that we're being forced to jump through is because we're in an election year.
Yeah, smells like it. You say too good to be true? Yeah, totally. It's a wet dream for what? It's a wet dream for the governor's office. Some guy gets to score a name for making some positive like change and impact upon New York City and protecting people, and then I don't know, attributing good works that happened around the city to the clear direction. Wasting my goddamn time.
Well, would you mind if I played devil's advocate for just a moment?
Uh-huh.
What if we find getting off of this, coming down off of it, really messes people up, and we have people that can't afford it at one point getting seriously fucked up? What about some kid out there who takes it to get through their finals as we come up to the end of this school year so they can pass with high grades and move on to college? And then after they go off of it for the summer, they suffer some sort of debilitating setback. What if they become so dependent on it that we're talking about cravings that could cause people to lose their shit?
He shrugs. Well, police MD said that's not kind of that thing doesn't look likely. But I'm not a doctor. Yeah, but I get you. It's like, yeah, I don't want kids to be on this stuff, but they're selling it as in city acupuncturists and homeopathic stores. No kid's going to go into that place. New age hippies are the ones that are going to get hooked up on this.
They said the same thing about marijuana back in the 50s.
Marijuana, yeah. Because that's another drug that we really need to be throwing people in jail for right now.
You know what I'm getting at. It works its way down eventually.
Yeah, he sort of gestures like a wave acknowledgement of what you said. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I just want to be safe rather than sorry. If we can prove that this is a waste of resources and a waste of time, maybe we can stick this to someone who's making our lives more difficult. Maybe get some leverage from when we really do need something important. People like you and me actually have a platform to stand on rather than standing below the judge's bench and looking like little orphan Oliver saying, "Please, sir, I want some more."
Well, let's find some Republican to give it to then.
Morgan will
He grins.
make a chuckle at that. Mostly genuine, but also putting on a bit of air, so to speak.
He offers a wry smile at this and goes, "Sorry, did I insult your checkbook just then?"
No, not quite. But you're getting close. Shots fired. And at that, Morgan will take the hip flask out of his jacket and take a drink, sort of giving him a slight cheer, or cheers, toast.
He looks you up and down with that, goes, Speaking of things that will kill you.
Morgan will kind of grimace at the drink. They made that and kind of narrowed eyes, trying to look more like an everyman, and offer it over towards the officer.
Can you give me a perception plus empathy roll, please?
Right.
As he takes a flask from you.
5. 5 successes.
What are you drinking? Character.
Out of character, probably something a little bit sweet, but with a bite to it. So Jaeger, more than likely.
Right. He sniffs it. He gives you the eye. It's the police eye, the one that you recognize. It's the one that goes, is this fucker playing me? So he sits back in his chair, casually now. And you can feel he's turning on the perceptions. As in he's keeping an eye what angle you're playing. Because everything's an angle to a person that's used to dodging IDs and then of course working and seeing the worst shit imaginable in narcotics. He takes a swig of Jaeger though, rolls it around in his mouth, hands it back.
Tell you one thing. Over the years, and he'll take one last swig before swing on the cap. The one thing I've learned about every district attorney and every ADA is they all have a stash of something similar to their tastes. You don't make it through all night cram sessions before you go to court without something to get you through.
Take the edge off, huh?
Take the edge off. Just keep your sanity for however long, and he'll rub his temples. Obviously, well, not obviously, but putting on a show. And sort of just make that look as if Morgan maybe carries himself well to hide it, for a professional atmosphere, but trying to look a little bit more wary than perhaps he actually is.
Yeah, I think you're going to need to have a performance roll here or a subterfuge roll, whichever's a strong one for you.
Subterfuge.
Yeah, he's on guard, but he doesn't trust you, so let's go with a charisma.
Charisma. Smooth. So we'll go smooth on this. If I were to throw on, let's say, 2 of my apocalyptic traits, Lordly Mane and Inhuman Allure, would that cause revelation?
Right, okay. Are you appearing as an angel to him?
No, I would definitely keep the wings and the radiant aura in the holster for now.
Yeah, so revelation really only sort of... no, if you drop the trowel fully and appear as an angel or a demon, then you're going to cause revelation. You can ping these effects off if you wish, without causing that. Of course, it does send a ping out to everyone within miles that you've disengaged some of your powers.
All right. Well, then I will... Well, I've already kind of committed to it, so I don't want to... Let's have a little bit of fun with this. Why not? I'm going to roll faith to see if I can't bring these up without having to spend actual faith points for them.
Okay.
So difficulty standard?
Yes, please.
1 success on the 1 for Inhuman Lore and Lordly Mane. Out. I'll blow a faith point on the last one to activate the 2.
Okay.
And so charisma and performance?
Are you playing a role, or are you actually trying to mislead him?
To put him in E is so somewhat misleading, I suppose, yes?
A bit of subterfuge.
So that would be 3 plus 2. At like a difficulty bottomed out at 3, I believe.
Yeah.
Because we don't go any lower than that. One, two, three, four, 5 successes.
He seems to be engaged a bit more. It's whatever observations that he's pulled from you seems to put him a bit more at ease, or he seems to come to a conclusion as he sort of purses his lips, so it can nod slightly at something that you said. You might have him on board a bit more.
Anyway, business, right?
He nods slowly.
So, I've been working with one of our medical examiners, and we're going to get an injunction filed, a temporary writ that we can act on for a bit. We want to try and gather individuals that are high on this and do some observation studies on them. If this has a detrimental effect, we need to know about it before somebody gets hurt. That's what I signed up to do. It's what you signed up to do. And quite honestly, if we can get this affidavit from the doctor, or we have that already, a detective would go a long way, along with a assistant district attorney to do much the same. Nothing uncouth, but certainly towing that line of what the law allows us to do.
He nods. Cutting the red tape, yeah. I guess, yeah.
Essentially, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't get to do what you guys get to do and actually help people on a, and he kind of gestures between the two of them, a one-on-one level. I have to do it from behind a desk. So call this white knight syndrome on my end if you want to. Maybe even idealism. But I signed up for things like this.
He chuckles. So you're the DA that Gotham deserves.
Well, until my girlfriend gets blown up by a guy in clown makeup, I suppose. Yes.
He sort of sits back and regards you a bit more, sort of like, I was in, okay, this guy's a bit more cooler. Sure. And what do you need me to do?
Morgan will lean over and pull up an affidavit form and begin to fill it out. Just simply sign this affidavit, sort of put your own opinion of why we need to have this injunction, why we need to observe people, why we need to get people off the street that are under the high of this, why it's dangerous.
Okay. Well, if you think it's dangerous, and I'm not a doctor, but if your doctors say it's dangerous, then fine, you get rid of it.
Hang on. Potential to be dangerous. I want to make that clear. I don't want you to jump in hook, line, and sinker not knowing what you're getting into. Like I said, we're pushing the boundary, but not breaking it.
Okay. So yeah, okay. If you find there's danger in it, then we need to stop it.
And if not, well, I say we make some judge's life miserable for the next 2 years while they sit in their newly furnished elected seat.
Right. Well, I don't mind making judge's life hard, but still sounds like a wild goose chase to me, man.
Well, leave no stone unturned, and who knows, we'll pick one up and see what crawls out from underneath.
Okay. Yeah, as I said, it's like whatever, man. If we find it to be dangerous, it's done. And you got my number, so if you need me to give more evidence or whatever, I'll swing by.
Hands of court, I think, is the most I'm going to need from you, at least right now. After we get this injunction put through, then we can start doing some actual work. Maybe not so much here. I would love to get out of the courthouse and down to a precinct. In all honesty,
He rubs the his temples and the bridge of his nose, very similar to the way you did yours. And goes, okay. Well, I prefer to be out on the field myself. I'm behind some desk, and I really don't like the idea of having to be here. But I said, if it scores, if it wins this award against drugs and it stops crazy kids from killing themselves, then fine.
like I said, I'll come to you if it comes down to it. And he'll place the affidavit form on the leather clipboard and hand it over.
He looks over the form and he's like, last time I signed something like this, I ended up paying a higher premium on my car insurance.
Well, luckily, and he'll hold up his hands in sort of a friendly gesture, I can't siphon any money off of you, man. If I could, I wouldn't have to be doing this for a living for much longer.
Yeah, I know, man, but just, no offense, but dealing with bureaucrats makes my nuts tighten up when it comes to things like this.
Well, I'm trying to keep from falling into the same trappings that they do. I'm a bit younger than they are, so we'll see where this goes.
Okay. He grabs a pen from your desk and just signs it. Doesn't he doesn't give a shit. Slides it across the desk at you again. Right. Just give me a copy and I'll be done.
And Morgan will lean over to see if Cece has returned or not.
Not yet.
That girl. I swear. And he'll pull out his phone, dial her number.
She'll answer it. You can hear it clattering around in her hand as she's sort of like trying to juggle what she's carrying with the phone and to put it to her ear. Mr. Durdra?
Cece, I don't suppose you're on your way back or possibly walking in through the front of the courthouse right now?
I am. I'm on my way back. I'm sorry. I'm just...
Double time. Take your shoes off before you start clambering down the hallways. Please.
They're already off. So, how did you know?
Because I know you way too well. All right, get here as quickly as possible, please. I need you to hit the notary again.
It takes... Yeah, she nods. She verbally nods. You can feel the sound of the air swishing over the phone. Okay, Mr. I'll be right there. And then you'll hear the phone sort of like hung up, and it doesn't take too long before sort of detectively chilling out in his chair before a sort of the door opens and your sort of paralegal comes in carrying the documents in a folder, her phone in one hand, and her shoes in the other, with a heel broken off on one. She'll chuck her heels to her desk and put the paper down. She'll come across barefoot. Detective Lee will look up at her and look up and down, goes and not say anything. Just give you the eye.
What kind of eye?
It's like assessing.
Looking at Morgan, I take it.
Yeah.
Can I gauge on his stance as far as when she comes in? Is he sort of admiring, so to speak, admiring the quote-unquote goods?
No need for a roll. But the first two things that seemed to have shot through his head was A, do I have to salute it? B, do I have to jump up and defend my life? Was more like the kind of initial reaction to the door opening. And then it was like, relax, it's just a woman. Or just somebody that's harmless.
And Morgan will simply smile, gesture towards Cece. Casey Becker, Detective Lee. Detective Lee, this is my assistant. One of the most harmless individuals I could find in this den of scum and villainy.
He'll nod to her and she'll like, hi. She won't go in for the handshake.
Morgan waits for a moment before kind of leaning forward with that expression of, aren't you supposed to be doing something? As he hands over the clipboard.
She goes, yes. I'll just take care of that for you.
Put everything else down before you go.
She'll scamper off again with her stuff that she doesn't need to take with her down. And she's leaving the door again.
My paralegal, detective.
He shrugs. Okay.
So much of a bumbling individual she can be at times, I don't know what I'd do without her.
I hope you're not planning to call her anytime soon.
No. Not exactly my type.
No, I mean call her. He makes a gesture for the phone call, for like a phone call. She left her cell phone on the desk. Are we done here?
Can I have the copy of the affidavit delivered to you?
Yeah, man.
All right. Yeah, I really shouldn't keep you any longer than you need to be here. Go back. Get yourself out of here. Hopefully, you're going home for the day.
Yep.
No, enjoy your time off. My work's just beginning.
He scoops himself up out of his chair, a bit quicker this time. He sort of stands or sort of squares onto you.
Morgan will stand up and stand up straight this time.
He goes, right. Yeah, you got my number, so he flicks you a very casual sort of salute, as in, like a two-fingered thing. It's like, yeah, whatever. And then sort of makes for the door.
I'll catch you around, detective.
Not before I catch you first.
Police humor. He'll chuckle, but, obviously lightheartedly.
He stops for a second, looks back at you, then resumes his walk and shakes his head. It's like, God's sakes. And then the door opens and closes and he's gone.
And he'll let the more infernal qualities burn themselves out. Well, that was interesting. And then he'll start pressing the intercom for his desk. Cece, please tell me you're there.
So, click, Mr. Deliverer.
I don't know how you do that so quickly. Can you order lunch, please? Something delivered. I don't want you out there running around barefoot.
Gotcha. I'll get something for you.
Get something for yourself as well before you pass out like you did a couple weeks ago.
I think it'll serve as our outro.
Indeed it will.
Thank you very much, guys.